There's a product sitting in the cleaning aisle of your hardware store called DampRid. You have seen it. White crystals in a plastic tub, $18 to $10, pulls moisture out of the air in your basement, closet, bathroom, storage unit. When the crystals dissolve and the tub fills with liquid, you throw it away and buy another one. What they never put on the label, what the entire disposable dehumidifier industry depends on you never figuring out, is that those crystals never actually run out. They can be fully restored in your kitchen oven and reused indefinitely, forever, for $4. Once, the crystals inside that $18 DampRid tub are calcium chloride, an inorganic salt that costs $4 per bag at any pool supply store. The same compound used to de-ice roads, preserve food, and condition agricultural soil. DampRid's entire business model is purchasing it in bulk, repackaging it into a branded tub, and selling it at 3 to 4 times the cost. They are not used up. The calcium chloride that absorbed the moisture is still there, dissolved in the water it collected. The compound is chemically intact. It is not degraded. It is waiting for the heat of your kitchen oven to drive the water back out. The same $4 bag working again, and again, and again. The global moisture absorber market generates over $4 billion every year. The disposable format is the entire business model. This is the story of calcium chloride, the moisture absorber they turned into a subscription product by hiding one word: regenerate. Welcome to Fixvival. Subscribe and hit the bell right now. This is where we open every vault they thought was sealed forever. Let me take you back to where this story begins. Not in a basement, in a salt mine. The region of Michigan and Ohio, United States, in the 1880s, where some of the world's largest natural calcium chloride deposits were discovered. Calcium chloride had been known to chemists since the 18th century as a laboratory desiccant, a drying agent used to remove moisture from gases. But the Michigan deposits made it available in quantities large enough for industrial application. Within a decade, it was used across 3 separate industries. The food preservation industry used it to maintain crispness in canned vegetables. Calcium chloride strengthens cell walls and prevents a mushy texture. It is still used today and is listed on the ingredient labels of canned tomatoes, pickles, and olives as a firming agent. The road maintenance industry discovered that calcium chloride applied to unpaved roads suppressed dust by pulling moisture from the air. And cold climate municipalities discovered that calcium chloride melted ice at temperatures as low as minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Military supply depots in the Pacific Theater during World War II used calcium chloride in large cloth bags to control humidity and storage. Every industrial chemist and military supply officer knew that calcium chloride was regenerable. It was in every chemistry reference published between 1880 and 1980. In 1977, Henkel launched a branded moisture absorber for residential use. It used calcium chloride in a consumer-friendly plastic tub with a reservoir. It was marketed as a disposable product. Use until crystals dissolve, discard, replace. The regeneration capability of calcium chloride was never mentioned. DampRid followed with the same format. The knowledge of regenerability was simply never communicated to the residential consumer who bought the branded tub. Now let me show you exactly why this works better than anything else for passive humidity control, and why the regeneration is so simple. It will make you angry you ever threw a DampRid tub away. Calcium chloride is what chemists call a hygroscopic salt. It is a compound with an exceptionally strong chemical affinity for water molecules. When crystals are exposed to humid air, they attract water vapor. The calcium and chloride ions on the surface bind the vapor. This process continues until the system reaches equilibrium at a very low moisture level. At high humidity, calcium chloride absorbs so much water that it dissolves into it, a process called deliquescence. The crystals liquefy from the outside in. This is not the compound failing. This is the compound working at maximum capacity. It can absorb moisture up to 6 times its own weight. Silica gel typically absorbs only 10 to 30% of its weight. Calcium chloride is in an entirely different category for high humidity environments. The regeneration is the detail the labels never mention. When fully deliquesced, the calcium chloride is still present in that liquid, completely intact. It is simply dissolved. Heat drives the water back out. Pour the saturated brine into a glass baking dish and place it in the oven. Set it to 300 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 to 3 hours. The water evaporates, leaving dry, reconstituted, fully active calcium chloride behind. The same compound, the same capacity. The same $4 you spent once working indefinitely. Why does the oven work? Because the boiling point of water is 212 degrees, and the oven temperature drives it well above that. The calcium chloride itself does not evaporate. Its boiling point is over 2,700 degrees. You're simply removing the water while the compound stays. The DampRid you threw away last month still had every molecule of calcium chloride in it. It was dissolved in the liquid you poured away. You did not use up the DampRid. If you had put that liquid in the oven, you would have had your $18 worth back. Calcium chloride works on the moisture in the air immediately surrounding it, effectively within a radius of 3 to 5 feet. For enclosed spaces like closets, boats, or RVs, this localized action is a complete, fully effective solution. For a large basement, multiple units positioned around the perimeter provide comprehensive coverage or supplement a powered unit effectively. Stop throwing your money down the drain. Master the science of calcium chloride and keep your space dry forever. Here is where the story takes the turn that should make you look at the DampRid tub under your bathroom sink very differently. The passive moisture absorber market, DampRid, Arm & Hammer, VacPlus, and competing brands, generates hundreds of millions of dollars in annual retail sales. Every one of those products contains calcium chloride, sodium chloride, or closely related hygroscopic salt as their active ingredient. Every one of them is marketed as a disposable product. Not one of them mentions regeneration on the label or in the marketing materials. The packaging design actively reinforces the disposable framing. The collection reservoir at the bottom serves a genuine functional purpose. It collects the deliquesced brine, but it also serves a psychological purpose. It makes the product look like a complex system, giving the impression of sophisticated engineering. The refill products are the clearest indication of the markup. A 10.5-ounce refill bag of calcium chloride costs $5 to $7. A 50-pound bag of food-grade calcium chloride at a farm supply store costs $25 to $35. The price per pound in the refill is approximately 10 times the price per pound of the identical compound in the farm supply bag. The compound cannot be patented. Calcium chloride is a naturally occurring inorganic salt in the public domain since the 18th century. The hygroscopic property is a fundamental property of the compound, documented in every chemistry reference ever published. The regeneration method cannot be patented. Heating a saturated salt solution to evaporate the water is not an invention. What can be protected is the brand name, the packaging, and the narrative that frames a commodity salt as a sophisticated consumer product. That protection is worth hundreds of millions, sustained by the assumption that the buyer does not know what calcium chloride is. The $4 billion global dehumidifier market depends on humidity being understood as a problem that requires continuous product expenditure to manage. A homeowner who understands that $4 of calcium chloride provides effective control indefinitely exits the purchasing cycle permanently. That exit represents a significant portion of revenue. The label will never tell you how to leave. The evidence for calcium chloride's effectiveness and regenerability has never been in scientific dispute. It exists in chemistry textbooks, in industrial desiccant specifications, and in the documented experience of every DIY community that has discovered it. The EPA's indoor air quality guidelines recommend maintaining indoor relative humidity between 30% and 50% to prevent mold growth. Above 60% relative humidity, mold spores, which are always present in indoor air, begin colonizing surfaces within 24 to 48 hours. The EPA acknowledges that passive desiccants are effective for humidity control in enclosed spaces where powered dehumidifiers are impractical. Calcium chloride is the most effective passive desiccant available at consumer scale. The EPA's own data supports using it. The branded product market around it does not reflect that support in its pricing. A mechanical engineer in Seattle documented a comprehensive comparison of passive moisture control methods in a home improvement forum in 2019. He measured relative humidity in 6 identical storage closets over a 90-day winter period using calibrated humidity sensors. One closet had no treatment. One had DampRid, one had silica gel, one had bulk calcium chloride in a colander over bowl setup. One closet had the bulk calcium chloride setup with monthly regeneration. One had a small powered dehumidifier. Results: the untreated closet averaged 78% RH. DampRid averaged 61% until crystals dissolved at day 34, then rose to 74%. Silica gel averaged 65% until saturation at day 28, then rose to 76%. Bulk calcium chloride averaged 54% RH continuously. Bulk calcium chloride with monthly regeneration averaged 51% RH. The powered dehumidifier averaged 48% RH continuously. The bulk calcium chloride with regeneration outperformed DampRid over the 90-day period at approximately 5% of the cost. Boat owners and RV communities have been using bulk calcium chloride for humidity control in closed storage situations for decades. Boating forums are filled with protocols for using calcium chloride in mesh bags suspended above containers in bilge areas and cabin interiors. The regeneration method, oven drying, is standard knowledge. The compound is purchased in 50-pound bags at commodity prices. The DampRid brand is rarely mentioned because everyone who has been boating for years has discovered the cheaper alternative. Here is exactly what to do. This is the part that ends your DampRid purchases permanently. What you need: calcium chloride pellets or flakes, not powder, which dissolves too quickly and is harder to handle. Available at pool supply stores as pool calcium hardness increaser. at hardware stores in the ice melt section and farm supply stores. A 50-pound bag costs $25 to $35 and will last years. For a starter purchase, a 10-pound bag at $8 to $12 is plenty. Also needed, a plastic colander and a bowl slightly larger in diameter so the colander sits inside without touching the bottom. The colander holds the crystals above the collection bowl. Total setup cost, $0 if you use existing kitchen items. Fill your colander with calcium chloride crystals to a depth of 2 to 3 inches. Set the colander inside the bowl. Place the assembly in the target space. Basement corner, closet floor, undersink cabinet, storage unit, boat cabin, or RV interior. As the calcium chloride absorbs moisture and begins to deliquesce, the resulting brine drips through the colander into the bowl below. Check the bowl every 1 to 2 weeks. Empty the bowl when it fills. Pour the brine down a drain with plenty of water. Refill the colander with fresh crystals as needed. One colander bowl unit controls humidity effectively for a standard bedroom closet. For a basement, place multiple units at 8 to 10 foot intervals around the perimeter for comprehensive coverage. The regeneration. This is the step that changes everything. When your colander is empty, do not throw the brine away. Pour the liquid into a glass baking dish. A standard 9 by 13 inch glass casserole dish is ideal. Set your oven to 300 to 350 degrees. Place the dish in the oven for 1 to 3 hours, checking occasionally. As water evaporates, the liquid level drops, and white crystals begin to appear around the edges and eventually across the entire dish. When only dry white crystals remain, remove the dish and allow it to cool completely before handling. Store the regenerated crystals in a sealed airtight container. Return them to your setup and they work exactly as they did new. Open a window while regenerating. You are evaporating the moisture into the air. The calcium chloride itself produces no fumes. For closets, storing leather or seasonal clothing, place a small unit on the floor or hang a mesh bag from the rod. In storage boxes, a breathable cloth bag of crystals prevents the mildew smell and mold growth that develops over months. For boats and RVs, calcium chloride is dramatically cost-effective. It requires no electricity and works continuously through the storage season. Distribute units through the boat, 1 in the main cabin, 1 in each sleeping area, and storage compartments. The compound pulls moisture out of the air until it is saturated, and then waits for you to regenerate it. Safety first. Wear rubber gloves when handling bulk crystals. Keep it away from children and pets as it can cause irritation. The brine is mildly corrosive. Use glass, plastic, or ceramic containers for collection. Avoid metal to prevent corrosion. Dispose of saturated brine down a drain with plenty of water. Now you can end DampRid purchases permanently. Good luck! Here is what I want you to hold on to when this video ends. The DampRid tub under your bathroom sink right now contains calcium chloride. The DampRid tub you threw away last month contained calcium chloride dissolved in the water it collected. In the liquid you poured down the drain, every molecule of the compound you paid $18 for was still there in that liquid, chemically intact, fully functional, waiting to be poured into a glass dish, placed in a 300-degree oven, and restored to dry crystals in 2 hours. You did not use it up. You disposed of it because the label told you to. The label told you to because a compound that is never used up cannot generate repeat purchases. Calcium chloride has been a documented desiccant since the 18th century. Military supply depots used it to protect ammunition and electronics from humidity throughout World War II. Industrial food preservation uses it continuously. Road maintenance departments purchase it by the truckload. The agricultural sector uses it to condition soil. Every application acknowledges the same property. Calcium chloride absorbs moisture extraordinarily effectively and can be regenerated by heat. That acknowledgement appears everywhere except the DampRid label. The $4 billion dehumidifier market maintains its revenue not by providing better humidity control than a $4 bag of calcium chloride provides, but by ensuring that the person who buys the branded product never learns that regeneration is possible. The knowledge is not complex. Heat drives water out of a salt solution. The salt remains. The salt works again. A child who has studied basic chemistry for 1 semester understands this. The DampRid marketing team certainly understands it. The decision not to communicate it to consumers is not an oversight. It is the foundation of the business model. Your basement, your closets, your storage spaces, your boat, your RV, your vacation property. Every space where humidity causes mold, mildew, rust, and decay can be protected indefinitely with a $4 bag of calcium chloride. The same compound working for the rest of your ownership of that space, regenerated in your oven whenever it saturates. The mold growing in your closet is not inevitable. The musty smell in your storage unit is not something you have to live with. The leather goods developing mildew in your spare bedroom are not beyond saving. These are humidity problems, chemistry problems, with a chemistry solution that costs $4 and lasts forever. The DampRid industry built a recurring revenue model around making sure you threw that solution down the drain. Now you know not to. If this vault changed how you look at the humidity destroying your possessions, subscribe and share this now. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside costs less than a cup of coffee. The vault is open. Share it before they notice.